if I have to ask. Deep breaths, deep breaths.
I've been doing a lot of meditation since Saturday night to try to regulate my breathing because it helps you with lower your stress level. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw Saturday night in the LSU Alabama game. To set the stage, let me share some comments and observations by other people who have pointed out some pretty interesting things. Uh, Outside of the pandemic season in 2020, this is the biggest butt kicking Bama's ever handed LSU in a century. That's Preston Guy down in Baton Rouge who wrote that. You have to go back outside of the COVID year to 1925 for a larger margin of defeat. Uh, yeah, how about this one? Jacques Doucet. Uh, From halftime at Texas A&M through the third quarter against Alabama, LSU football has been outscored 66-12. Last year, we talked about the defense being the problem, and a lot of criticism was directed toward Matt House. Well, what happened this year when they played Alabama? Well, Jalen Milroe rushed for more yardage than he did last year, 185 yards, 30 more yards, 4 touchdowns again, rushed for them. He only threw for 109 yards. There was no passing attack from Alabama. He ran 12 times for 185 yards. That's a 15 something average per carry. Again, as Barstool LSU pointed out, here's A&M has showed everybody the blueprint to stopping LSU. On stop their offense, you blitz, blitz, blitz. You squat on all the short routes. Nussmeier will have no time and will have no deep threat quarterback that's going to beat them over the top. Don't even worry about the run game. Speaking of the run game, Caden Durham started off the game with a 40-plus yard carry. He only had 7 carries the rest of the game. Your best running back so far this season carried the ball for a grand total of 8. The coaches, Kelly addressed that, said, well, we felt more comfortable with Josh Williams' experience. Well, that's great. That's great. He has experience, but it wasn't working. Why don't you give the ball to your best, your most productive running back this year? There is so much here we could talk about. I mean, congratulations to Alabama. You kicked LSU every which way possible in an absolutely dominating victory. And I'm concerned, Darren, Bama started off 5 for 5 on third down. 5 for 5 on third down. They scored 14 points in the first quarter. LSU was coming off a bye week, as was Alabama. One team looked completely prepared. One team had a scheme that they were going to run. The other team looked completely disheveled. I don't know what the defensive scheme was. Blake Baker, there's an issue here with quarterbacks that can run. Everybody knows, make Milroe beat you with his arm. Make him beat you with his arm. Instead, for whatever reason, LSU let him run for 185 yards. Now, of course, they didn't let him run. I think they got pushed around, and they didn't look like a tough team out there. Maybe that's a faulty observation on my part, but they got pushed around in the trenches. Their defense got pushed around. They weren't making plays on either side of the ball. It was, and here's the thing. I forgot who pointed this out. I'm trying to give credit to everybody here, but Brian Kelly is just 5-9 against ranked opponents the last 4 years. He has a losing record against ranked opponents. So he goes today on Feinbaum like he does every Monday, and he's very calm, even keeled, which, you don't want the coach to be freaking out in an interview and saying the sky's falling. So I understand that. But we like coaches to show some emotion. We want to see that you're as mad as we are about this, and heads are going to roll if changes aren't made. He's very even keel. He talks about the potential to win 10 wins. Here's the thing about LSU fans. If we're not making the 12 team playoff, 10 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, it doesn't make a difference to us. We wanted to be in that 12-team playoff. We don't want to say, look, another 10-win season. Yay. No, we're wanting to play for national championships. The money is there, the players are there, they have the facilities, everything is in place. Why isn't it clicking in year 3? I don't have the answer to that. Is Brian Kelly a good coach? Of course he's a good coach. You can't dispute his record. But what's happening in these big games? We talked about Lane Kiffin's struggle in big games, at least until this past weekend. You can put Brian Kelly right up there. What you can't say, well, the other teams are recruiting so much more talent than what we have. No, no, they're not. It was an absolute debacle in Baton Rouge. It rained, which is never supposed to rain in Tiger Stadium. 102,000 plus people out in the rain. You had the crowd behind you. You had the most electric atmosphere in college football, and you just wasted it all. Wasted it
Mhm.
all. Alabama came out firing all cylinders. LSU got in a hole. Darren, what did they do? What was that play before halftime? They had no
Yeah.
timeouts and they throw into the flat. What in the world is going on there?
Yep.
There's a lot of questions from Joe Sloan's play calling to Blake Baker's defensive schemes to can Brian Kelly get all this put together because fans are growing restless right now.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
expectations are not being met. So I'm just going to stop right there. Well, I thought I was done with LSU, but I'm not done with LSU. I've got some more I want to say about this game.
Let us let us have it.
311 rushing yards, 300. Come on, Blake Baker. You're a
Mm.
good off or good defensive coordinator. You've got the pedigree. What is going on? Is it can you are we not getting the guys in the right positions? Is the scheme completely off? Is it lack of execution? If it's coaching, is it all the above? I don't know, but 311 yards. It's crazy. Crazy as if it wasn't going to be crazy when we saw a tiger in a cage out on the field. You kind of thought, what is going on here? We already have a tiger on the campus of LSU, a well cared for tiger. Why are we bringing another one onto the field here? I don't know if that worked in our favor or not, but it just kind of signaled. Now looking at in hindsight, okay, this is going to be a crazy night. Tiger in a cage on the field. It's raining in Tiger Stadium. Okay, something bad is about to happen. However, I want to throw this wrinkle into the conversation. History is important. When we forget history, we're doomed to what's the old quote? We're doomed to repeat it. It's important that we remember and we make faulty conclusions. Now, we can't predict the future, but history can give us a guide. Again, I want to mention Preston Guy out of Baton Rouge. He tweeted this earlier. Nick Saban's first 3 seasons, his record at LSU, 26-12. Brian Kelly's first 3 seasons so far, 26-10. So even if Brian Kelly loses 2 out of the last 3 games, he will finish the first 3 years with the same record that Nick Saban had. Now, there's some cause for optimism, maybe a little silver lining. However, history also can be unkind to us. Jerry DiNardo's first 3 years at LSU, 26, 9, and 1. He actually had a better record than Brian Kelly and Nick Saban. So this could go either the route of Saban having a winning program competing for national championships, or this could go the route of Jerry DiNardo, where everyone says, yeah, we probably never should have hired Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. What were we thinking bringing him down here? It just didn't work. And we signed the guy to a 10-year contract. We're kind of stuck with him for a while. So literally, Darren, it could go either 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 way, and that may not be a comforting thought to Tiger fans because uh, look, I said it before. Who cares about 10 wins? That's nice, but that's not what we're playing for here. 10 wins and go to a bowl game where we beat up on some Big Ten team that shouldn't even be on the field with LSU. We've seen that play. We've already watched that. It was nice. The movie was great. It's not where we want to be. All right, I think I'm good now. I think I got it all out. And I've got another thing to say about this, and that is I'm really concerned about Garrett Nussmeier. I know people are
Yep.
saying, well, look at Joe Burrow's the year before, junior year, look at Jaden Daniels. They did not turn the ball over as much as Nussmeier is doing. Now, there could be a lot of reasons for that, but I think that's a concern that we need to be watching and needs to be addressed.